Okay, I'm going to do a tutorial to show you how to make paper roses. You can make them with old books. You can make them with copy paper. You can make them with any paper that you find that is sturdy enough. If you make a bunch of these, you can make these into decorations for your house. You can make something like this. This is a wreath that I made several years ago that I have hanging on my door. And if you make a ton of these, you could make a wreath, you could make a topiary to put on your dining room table or whatever. So I'm going to show you what you need to make this. You need an old book or copy paper. You're going to need glue sticks, your hot glue gun, scissors, a bowl of ice water. Get a bowl, put some ice, put some water in it, because if you're making several of these, for a friend's wedding, I made 180 of these for decorations on the tables. The longer that you're making the roses, obviously, you're going to be continuing to have your hot glue gun on. And it gets hot and you will burn yourself. I had blisters. Okay, so what you're going to do, again, you can use copy paper or an old book. You generally want to use 3 pages, so you can either, with an X-Acto knife, cut down the spine of the book, or if you want, you can use your scissors, or you can just physically rip the pages out. But you need 3 pieces to make a rose. I've got a few sheets that I've already ripped, so let me put this book to the side. Now you can either completely freehand do this, you can use a cup, you can use a bowl, depending on how big you want the roses, whatever size circle you want to make, you can do it. Sometimes I use a compass, just to kind of feel out how large I'm going to make the rose and use as much of the page as I possibly can. You don't have to use a compass. Like I said, you can completely freehand this. If it's not a complete perfect circle, that's fine. So you're going to draw your circle on or do it freehand. Use your scissors to cut out your circle. If you decide to use copy paper or books or whatever, you can actually stain the edges with ink. Now, once you've cut out your circle, don't throw the scrap away. I cut them in half. And I actually use this for the bottom of the rose to glue it on. There are some tutorials that will show you to leave a little tab at the end, kind of like this, to not completely cut off the bottom. The roses end up kind of conical shaped, which I'm not a fan of. But if you're looking to make different style roses, you can just play around and see what you like to do. Again, this is one that I made years and years ago when I was practicing making the roses for the wreath that I made. And I glued a little pearl in there. But I'll show you how I like to do it. That'll make a more flat rose. Okay, so what you're going to do, make a little slit. And just very slowly. And try to keep your strip even. So you're going to try and keep it about this width all the way around. As you get down to the bottom, that's actually going to be the outer petals of your flower. So if you wanted to make it a little bit larger swirl, that's going to create a larger petal form on the outside. This piece you don't need. So what I like to do is once I start to cut this, flip the pages over, just take my scissors and just nip that end off. then just continue going around in a circle. You're making a spiral, which is really easy. You don't have to draw a spiral on there. If you want to, if that makes you more comfortable, go ahead and do it. I just do this part freehand. I usually, when I'm doing the roses, I usually cut the circle out freehand. I don't trace. But if I'm using a larger book, sometimes I like to use stuff and things. Brain fart. Okay, when you get to this part, this is where most tutorials tell you stop right here, leave this on, and then you'll glue your rose down to this. I don't like to do that. I cut this off and throw it out. Okay, now you're going to have your spiral of paper. If you drop it, it's no big deal. You can just pick it up and put it back together. This is easier to do if you let it hang, like if you're sitting in a chair, and let this dangle so that I can show you guys hopefully clearly on the video. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to take this off camera for a second and just let it hang so that I can straighten out the spiral. Okay. Then basically at this point, all you're going to do, hopefully you'll be able to see this, I take and just very tightly try to start folding the center of the flower. Once you get a good tight base, then you're going to put this in between your fingers. The top and bottom finger are going to keep it from unraveling, and you're going to use your other two fingers to twist. So these fingers are not moving, you're just twisting. As the flower gets bigger, if you want to use more fingers to stabilize the flower itself, you can. So you're basically just going to continue to do this. It takes relatively no time at all. You can sit in front of the TV and do this, or do something, watch whatever you want to do, watch your kids, watch whatever, your pet, and you can completely have your attention on whatever else and just continue to twist this. Sometimes at the bottom it gets a little tangled. Just untangle it and keep twisting. Now see how I've got extra fingers holding it? If for some reason you need to reposition, just make sure that you stop with the other hand and pinch it so that it doesn't unravel. If you let this go, it will unravel and it will go everywhere. So you're just going to finish up doing your last bit of spiral. In the center, at the bottom, I usually fill this entire area up with hot glue. I'm going to move these extra pages. Now, how I said don't throw these out. Take one. This is going to be the base of your flower. Put it down. Fill the center with glue. I like to do probably more than I should, but that's how I like to do mine. So it's quite full. Then put it straight down, and then as soon as you get it down to open up your flower, you're going to start twisting the paper that you have placed your flower on. As you twist it in the opposite direction of the spiral as you did, it's going to open up the flower. Then at this point, if the glue is really hot, you're going to need to hold this for a second because it will continue to unwind. You can leave it like this, or if you like to, you can take a pen, a pencil, and just push the center in. That will secure the center, but it'll also push the center in so that if you wanted to put a bead, a pearl, something, you can have a spot to tuck it into the flower. If you use a clear bead, it looks like a dewdrop, but if you push the center down, it just gives you a little divot to put that bead in and make it a little more fancy. Then once this cools completely, you can just take your scissors, cut around the base, and you have your flower. Again, you can do these in any colors you want. Doing it the way that I did it, you end up with a more flat flower. Sometimes this is more preferable if you're making a wreath, or if you're trying to cover up more space and you've unwound the flower. It will be able to be placed on a topiary ball or whatever you want to do to create a decoration. Gonna make a couple more of these. Probably just gonna give these to my friend because when she had her wedding, unfortunately all the flowers that I made ended up getting thrown out, or somebody decided to take them home with them that worked at the venue, but she didn't get any of them, and she wants some for her wedding memory box. So this is actually one of the books that I used to make some of the flowers for her, so I figure it'd be nice to give her a couple of these. Hopefully that was a informative tutorial and easy enough to follow. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will get to them